toys in here.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? It's the Man-Child. Alright, so today for review, I got my hands on a Masters Universe Origins Snake Mountain playset. Evil Stronghold of Skeletor. Look at that art. Look at that box. And hopefully look at the playset once we get it out of box. Snake Mountain was probably one of my favorite playsets as a kid, going back to the vintage line. I remember having it. I was probably close to 10 years old, 9 or 10, and I remember seeing him back of my mom's car with a big, we had Child's World in the day, hidden in the box, doing that Christmas, sticking out, so I knew I was getting Snake Mountain a week or two before Christmas, you know. And yeah, now I'm a big child. Here it is once again, just incredible looking. So taking a closer look at the art or some of the illustration, all the different figures on the front of this or back side. I think this is the front side of the box. So over here we have Lord Grasp. They did make him in the classics. There were some rumors that there will be a Lord Grasp coming to Origins. I think I might have seen an image or two. I don't know. It might be exclusive. I haven't heard nothing else yet, but there's Lord Grasp. Of course, here we have Camo Khan, because you can see the pinchers. Now, he was already a Mattel Creations exclusive figure. It came out a while ago. We also have Terror here. Terror? I think it was Terror. Also made in the classics, just mix of parts between Skeletor, Rattler, and Whiplash. So they do, it's cool. They show him, and I thought I seen or heard teases of him as well coming to Origins at some point. Then we got Rattler, of course. We already have him out. We got Tongue Lasher. And King Hiss now coming out of that secret hideaway in a Snake Mountain there. And Tongue Lasher's shooting his tongue, has it wrapped around Moss Man, which is also, he's coming around now in Walmart. It's being found all over online. So you could, you know, now's the time to go looking for him. It's pretty awesome. They got that selection of characters together. So moving up a bit, we have our Thunder Punch He-Man getting ready to battle out with Dragon Blaster Skeletor. So once again, I think it's pretty cool that they added those two variants on this Snake Mountain cover instead of just the regular He-Man Skeletor, or even the Battle Armored He-Man Skeletor. I think that's what might have been on the vintage cover of Snake Mountain from what I remember. We got a superstorm going on in the background, playing its lightning, all that ominous clouds and crazy things going on. Up here you got that awesome snake at the top of the doorway here. You can see that. I love that. I can't wait to see that door with that wolf face on it. We got Web Store grappling down off the snake. And we have our drawbridge set up with, so we have the goddess here. And in the first release, Evelyn, or the Evelyn with yellow skin. Then moving down, so we know we have Moss Man. Yeah, Tongue Lasher, as I said, already has him. And we have Stinkor, so these two are getting ready to go head-to-head. That's pretty cool that they put Stinkor and Moss Man at art. That makes sense. And then, let's see, so moving up, we have, so we talked about the drawbridge. And, yeah, got that cool Snake Mountain, just a big face that Snake Mountain's always known for. And then up here we got the wolf. I guess that was always the wolf or a bat head. And that was a microphone in the vintage Snake Mountain. And I don't think this is anymore. It might be a place to store your accessories. We'll figure it out once we get it out of the box. That's how the classics was. But yeah, it's neat they show that. Now moving down, we have the Skeleton Warriors. This is a 2-pack that's due to come out, I think, this month or in September. So I can't wait to get those guys. And we have Whiplash down here. Of course, Whiplash's been out a while. He's getting ready to throw his spear up at, looks like, okay, we have Buzz-Off flying in. So it seems to me he's trying to strike Buzz-Off. Because Buzz-Off's coming in to try to rescue Man-E-Faces, who was chained up to the chains here. And then over here we have, so that's Man-at-Arms. And, okay, that's Too Bad, if you can see that. I can't wait. Can't wait to see Too Bad. I have a feeling it's going to be announced soon for probably next year at the Origins. Because they said they're going to finish up the vintage line. And then we have yeah, just more Cosmos, space going on, and Screech flying in from this side. And spinning the box completely around to the, I'm going to call this the back side. Now we have a complete photographic illustration image of just a Snake Mountain setup and all the current figures are coming out. So again, Dragon Blaster Skeletor up top, Thunder Punch He-Man. Off to the right, we have the Talon Fighter, Point Dread. We have Mechaneck on the Ground Ripper. We have Fisto with Stridor. We have some more of these, so call them Skeleton Warriors. We got 1, 2, we got 3 over here. Again, they're coming out real soon. I can't wait to get them. Slamroy. We got Moss Man, who's hitting Walmarts now, and a lot of people are finding, starting to find him. Hey, got Man-E-Faces once again chained up. And now we got Frogmonger, which was a Mattel Creations exclusive figure. We got the mini comic book Triclops, excuse me, and a Roton. And some more Snake Men, right? Rattler, King Hiss, Tongue Lasher, all those guys are already out. And we got Screech also flying in. And then moving up to the top right hand of the corner, here's just a picture image. It looks like in the back of the playset with the dungeon and all the accessories you get. And then laying the box down, looking at, I'm going to call this the top side. We have our Master Universe logo like the front did, but smaller. And it just kind of shows all the action features, or I want to say playset playability that this Snake Mountain comes with. So it just says Stronghold folds and opens for easy play. So the playset will fold and close and open back up like the vintage one did. Looks like that large snake can articulate, so we call it a striking snake. And then we have the coil bridge where, yeah, you know, you can obviously battle on it like the illustrations show, and I believe it can come off the playset as well. So moving over a bit, you have the trapdoor, so you can see the Thunder Punch He-Man falling through that trapdoor piece now. And I think they improved this from the vintage. From I remember watching a commentary when they were designing the set. Of course, we'll see once we get out of the box. And this is pretty cool. So it says Acid Pit, sink your foes. So you get like this acid pit, and I guess you would break your figure apart like Manny faces here, and he sits on top like he's sinking. That's kind of neat. We got the secret tunnel once again, like the Snake Man was coming out of the front of the box. Here you are teasing me with one of these skeleton warriors. I would love I opened this up and they had one included with the set. I know they don't, but I feel like we deserve one. Keep showing us. Yeah, and of course, here's Manny faces bound, the Stronghold dungeon bound up, just like the vintage one did. And what's cool too now is looks like this comes with a bone throne like the classics did. So that's really cool because I don't think the vintage set came with one of those. And here's a quick look at I want to call it the right hand side of the box, looking in from the front. I think the illustration's the front. Look at that. You got that Filmation ship that Skeletor flew around in the Filmation cartoon. This has been teased a couple times too. I would love to see that in Origins. And now taking a look at the left-hand side of the box. Of course, we have a Talon Fighter flying in with Teela. Looks like inside the cockpit there. But this is really interesting if you can see this. Look at that. It's like they're Snake Men with the snake armor that the snake armor Skeletor comes with, but they're like ghosts or something. Translucent. I don't know. Energized. That's really bizarre looking. Well, I'd like to see these come out just like those skeleton warriors that are coming out soon. That's really interesting. So here's a quick look at everything out of the box, or of course the Snake Mountain unboxed. Now it comes wrapped in these two square cardboard pieces, right? It'd be one at the top, or the top and the bottom, and that's how everything's kind of cradled. Once it came out, the book fell out, odds and ends, but for the most part, this was taped on here, and all the other stuff was taped in the back from what I can see. And now I flipped the Snake Mountain to the backside, obviously, and just kind of showing you the mess of accessories and parts I have. Because everything's just kind of stuck in here, held on with a little bit of tape like this plastic. But once I flipped it over, pulled it out of the box, the stuff just went flying everywhere when it's upside down. So it was kind of give you a fair warning. And the whole play set and those two cardboard inserts, I took them out from the side of the box. So more or less it's collector friendly if you can put everything back together with those two pieces. All right, now here's a quick downward look on all the parts you get that, of course, you're going to assemble on the Snake Mountain or use for the Snake Mountain. I think there's approximately 22 parts, including the book would be 23. Not that it's a part. What's interesting, too, is inside the box, you get this piece of plastic that was taped inward that covered the main, Snake Mountain playset so the face or other parts didn't get scratched. And now here's a quick look at the main Snake Mountain playset by itself without, obviously, the parts on. Of course, I'll go through the manual and put the parts on, go over them real quick. Try to make this video as efficient as I can without dragging it out and turning it, into an hour-long review. Good job on it. They did correct the colors from the prototype that we saw last year, where it's just really pink. This looks very close to the vintage, from what I remember. So you have the deep purple colors, and you can see it all around the main color. And then, of course, it's a gray, like a overspray, a wash on the face. You can see it on the stairs here all around, and then some black too, like on the top, and blend it all in. Very organic looking, and looks very close to the vintage Snake Mountain from what I remember. Eyes are, really cool stickers. I love how he did that. Of course, you have these plastic chains. Now they're just solid gray flat plastic. Would have been cool if they were links. You could buy plastic links and retrofit this, customize if you want. I mean, it's doing the job what it's meant to do for an Origins Snake Mountain. But good job, and you got the mouthpiece that articulates with a hinge in the back. I'll show that soon. So that does open, close, like it's talking. Got the space over here, obviously, with enough room for the Origins. And I don't know how well this is going to work for Classics or Masterverse. It's kind of small, but again, going back to the vintage playsets, similar in size. I don't know if it's a little bigger. I don't have a vintage one. Looks like it might be slightly bigger, like a lot of Origins stuff is, but they did a good job on it. It's what they expect as far as Origins. So flipping it around to the backside once again, yeah, really cool detail. Obviously, this is going to open up, it'll show in a second, and just make it the main Snake Mountain where you're always supposed to, look at it from the front side. Unless you're working from the back, then you'll have it set up and spin around to the back. Okay, so it's the other side of stairs. Just, yeah, really, I love the sculpting and just the different textures and sculpts going on here. You got roots and little organic claws going, or I guess it's all part of roots technically. Little faces. You can see there's a face up in here. That looks like another deformed face or something like that. A mouth going on there with an eye recessed in. Now this is neat too. So this is the little hideaway, the cave that the snake layer or something coming out on the front of the box. You got this rubber set of roots. That's cool. So it's just the rubber. They're already, I don't know if they come off. They seem like they're pressed in there with a peg. You want to remove them, I'm sure you can. I'm not going to try because I don't want to snap this. But that's different. I like that over the vintage Snake Mountain. So spinning it around, now of course, here's our hinges that will lock this playset with the pegs like the vintage one did. They're pretty cool with sculpting too. They're like little, claws or something. So that's how you would lock it if you're going to carry it around. Bring your fingers in it. And then you just unlock it like that. And then the whole playset now, right, it's going to pop open like that. You can see the hinges on that side. So check out the back side first. Once again, we'll go through later on with the accessories as we put them in. But now here's your switch for that mouthpiece from the front, obviously, to make it, go up and down like it's talking. You can see up in here, so they have an homage going back to that vintage. This sticker goes back to that vintage microphone where it kind of sat off. And I believe this was on the microphone itself. It had a switch. I think it was on the top or something. The microphone was sitting here, had the power cord, had a 9-volt battery case that sat off to the side. So it's cool. We have a homage going back to that. It's just, so there's going to be pieces that are going to go in here. Obviously, we're going to put in, but got a lower sticker in here. Let's take a look at that. Like a trapdoor with some lizards going, bones and stuff, spider, pretty cool. Okay, that's that side, and going to slide this other side back over once again. So, all right, here's your other part of the inside here. Pretty neat. Got a little stone sticking up in here. It actually moves around. See that? Peg. So it's gonna be for the accessories. Now here's that acid or lava piece that you're gonna snap the figures on, like in the showed on the cover. It's interesting because it's on a hinge, so it's all part of this playset. It's cool color, right? It's got like a bluish, like water with acid mixed in it. You see that wash in there, and it matches something like this sticker. And then once again, you can see this would be the hidden, entrance to where the Snake Man or whoever wants to go out, where the roots connect from the front. So closing the playset once again without all the accessories on, which we're going to put on pretty soon, and I got it locked. There's kind of a quick look around. I'm going to spin it, what it would look like, all closed up with the hinges and just the overall aesthetics of the whole playset. The other thing you got to watch too is I do have some chipping in mine. It's hard to see where the gray, like areas where the wash is, little chips and stuff. It's not bad because it kind of blend in just with all different tones of it. But I just wanted to give fair warning that some of the outer stuff can chip. See, in here too, I have chipping along the stairs. Kind of rub that out. Ain't terrible, but just wanted to make a point of that. So before we put the parts on, here's a quick look at the book or the manual. What I'll do is I'll just show you real quick front and back, and then I'll just go through each section in chronological order, show you the part, put the part on. We'll just do that. But here's the front, so there's all the contents already kind of laid out. We'll take a clear look at that. And then now I ripped mine. See that? But okay, it ain't the worst thing. But you kind of see all the how to play and where to put figures, some of the setup. I'm going to pause and take a look at that, how everything's going to go together. So this is the, back side, I guess. And spin it back around to this will be the front side, right? That's kind of the assembly of everything. Take a look at all that. So moving on to parts, accessories, and of course assembly. I'm just following the instruction guide as far as what they recommend how to assemble this. So the first thing to look at is, of course, the very top of Snake Mountain, or the gateway. Again, just Awesome color, you know, very deep purple to match Snake Mountain. This is all in the gray wash. There'll be these big bone pieces. You can obviously see the doorway. Awesome sculpting. Got that, you know, the bat head up in here. But everything's one flat color as far as this. I don't see anything. The teeth almost look like they shine a little different in my light. This could be the light. Moving on to that gate. The gate was always so cool, going back to the vintage playset. Okay, and of course on a hinge, it can only go one way out. You kind of bend it in, but you'll break it. Now, there's no other details on this gate. It's just a flat gray color. You can see the main wolf head, I guess it is, bat or wolf head. Yeah, I kind of wish it would have had just some wash on it, or the eyes are red. Now, that's something I'm going to do as far as customizing. And I noticed that with this playset, there's things that we're going to get to, like the snake head and other pieces and accessories. It's just, there's no deco on them, just flat. Now up top here, this seems shinier than this part of the gate. So this is a flat gray, and it's I don't know if it's two different, it's not two different pieces. I'm not sure how they did that, or they just polished it or something. So that is a little different, but it's pretty much your gate and your top piece. And then the other piece is your walkway, okay, your main bridge. So it's just another, yeah, real flat gray color, matches very close to the door, but slightly flatter. So the door does have a little more of a shine to it. It actually matches this wolf face. And then of course you get all these banister pieces that are in a moss green color. I guess they're just like moss. And you get obviously 4 of them, and they're all the same sculpt and curve that's going to snap into this with that, you know, rounded curve. It's going to obviously match the rounded curve of this bridge. So yeah, to snap all these in, we're just going to pop this piece in like that. And then the second one, and in these you got to put a little force, and they just pop and lock right in. It says, according to directions, it's a one-time assembly. So you could probably get these out, but I would heat these. If you try to pull on them, you might break the pegs. And then we'll put the back ones on, right, and they'll snap in. And again, just pay attention which ways these, I mean, it's common sense, they curve, but if you put one on, you know, wrong, it can work because these are flexible. It don't look bad, it would probably work, but then trying to pull it out, you might risk snapping these pegs. So just, yeah, pay attention which ways these go in. And then this piece, same thing. Gonna follow that arc, and that's going to snap in as well. So moving on to the Snake Mountain playset, get ready to put some of these parts on. So here's a look what it all opened up, right? And it just doesn't lock open. I'm just going to kind of push it till, obviously, the hinges, these two ends just smack together. It doesn't really matter. But that's pretty much the overall look with everything opened up. So now moving on, of course, snapping this bridge piece on. Of course, we have all the little banister pieces on. It's kind of these little clips, inserts here, and now you got to bend the Snake Mountain a little bit. So it seems like this tab, you can see these little slots in here. This one's going to snap in there like that. It's just going to hold it. And then you're going to position this till this one snaps in this side, from what I can see in the directions. And now here's a look with that bridge snapped on to the front of the Snake Mountain. Now this really puts this on an angle and opens the playset up. Now I see it, so you're not, obviously it can open all the way up like I showed, and these two ends can hit, but this is the way it's meant to go. And you can remove it. So to remove it, you're just going to pop this out, like if you want to close a playset, very carefully, and it will snap right off. So moving to the top of Snake Mountain, the next step is we're going to put in this riser piece at the very top, and according to directions, is going to go and snap in like this till it locks. And now here's a quick look with the first part of the assembly instructions. Right, so we have our bridge on, and of course the top with the gate, and the height from Snake Mountain, if I measure from the back all the way to the top, is exactly 25 inches to the top of that point. And also taking that bridge back off, opening the playset all the way up and locking it till the corners hit. It also measures approximately 26 inches as well from point to point. So once again, spinning the playset around fully open, we're going to work on the second part of the recommended assembly. So we got our bone throne, that snake, and the upper floorboard. It's going to snap up here. And before we put the accessories in this back part of Snake Mountain, let's take a closer look at them. So of course, the infamous bone throne. Really awesome that this set came with a bone throne. The Classics one did too. This one, the sculpting's really neat on it, I gotta say. It's obviously one color. There's no other deco aside the bone throne itself, and then you have these two skulls. But taking a little closer look, you got a lot of inspiration going on here with the skulls. You know, got like the ram staff kind of head going here, skull. Up top, almost looks like it could be something from the Horde with some kind of bone bat wings going on. Let's see that little face. And then moving in here, like something, it could be something with a snake man maybe, the skull back here, and the little snakes on the outer arms of the chair there. Right, and this is going to represent like fur. And there's all the back details and stuff. There's a bottom where it's going to plug in. And these are interesting too. You got these white skulls. They're both identical. They're rubber. And they can articulate. And you can take them out too if you wanted to. It looks like you can heat and pop these out. I'd be careful with that. They almost look like the Plundar from the Filmation cartoon or the figure that was made in the classics, that evil rabbit warrior looking guy. So it's, yeah, neat. They added all that different stuff. So once again, before we put the bone throne up in the Snake Mountain, I want to see how figures fit in it. Obviously, that's the most important part of it. Now, I wanted to try Dragon Blaster Skeletor, the Origins one, because it showed that on the box, that he was sitting in a chair. Because of how far back, you know, just the bone, how it's recessed. Where the Classics was it was difficult to sit figures in it. He does work, even with that dragon on his back. Kind of sits okay, but see, the problem with the Origins too, depending on the figure, you can't really bend the legs all the way forward. You know, they kind of bend. You got to, like this, and bend the legs down, just like the Wind Raider and other vehicles. But it does work. You'd have to elevate this chair up. And this is what I found with the Classics. But now this is going to snap into the playset, so it's not going to work unless you leave this loose. Aside that, it kind of looks like, and for the most part, even something like the Dragon Blaster Skeletor with the Dragon Armored, it does sit in a chair. And now I'm going to bring in my Battle Armored Origins Skeletor, because going back to the vintage box, I believe Battle Armored Skeletor was up in the top. Around the time when that Snake Mountain came out, Battle Armored He-Man Skeletor was out. But anyway, I want to see how he fits without a dragon on his back, without a monkey on his back. Yeah, it fits okay. It rests back, hits the skull. Of course, he sits off the seat a little bit. Depends how you position the legs. And see, here's the problem again. He kind of slides out. So it's something you got to articulate the head, the waist, mix it around. Position the feet, and something like this maybe. I mean, it does form okay as far as a figure, but again, they slide out. That's the same problem with the Classics, unless it was elevated where you could position the legs down. So I guess it's something you got to mess around with. I don't blame the chair. I like the design of the chair. It's just something how these Origins can't articulate their legs all the way forward. Now, real quick, I also want to bring a comparison between the Origins Bone Throne and the Classics. I do have the Barbarian Skeletor sitting up in this, and out of all my Masterverse figures, so that's what this comparison is about, not only the Bone Thrones, but would a Masterverse figure fit in this throne, so I'm getting to. He's the one to fit the best, something with the articulation, where a lot of other ones didn't. Now, you can see the same problem. This one's even more, at least this Bone Throne goes back further, this one isn't. And they always hit this, the skull, they fall forward. So that's kind of a comparison between the two. I mean, yeah, this one's just awesome. But again, without raising it up a little, has flaws, how the figures fit. So that's those two together. I'm going to move this one out of the way. Go back to the Origins one. I'm going to see if a Masterverse figure would sit in this. Like a little kiddie seat. Alright, so I'm using Barbarian Skeletor once again as an example. Yeah, more or less, they do work in it. It's like a smaller chair. And he fits really well. And now I want to bring in the first release, Masterverse Skeletor. Mine has a custom wired cape on it, which you can bend. It's not a problem. So that's how he would fit in a chair. Again, I'm going back to that Masterverse Barbarian Skeletor because mine, he had better articulation, or maybe it was just something with the belt. For this Skeletor, see, I have to straighten the legs out. You can't really bend them much unless you're able to raise the seat up on its own, where you can manipulate the figure better. For the most part, though, they do, yeah, kind of sit in there, and they look okay. Now here's a quick look at the classic Skeletor with the armored off in this Origins Bone Throne. Does fit, but his legs you really got to straighten out, or once again lift the seat up so you can bend them, have it elevated. If it wasn't inside the play set, it would kind of look like that. It looks okay, but yeah, the legs look really weird like that. Just like he's chilling, shirt off. And now here's a close-up look at that upper floorboard that we'll put in soon. So it just has like some kind of wooden structure on the top here, sculpted, more or less painted on, and of course all this rocky section that's going to match the Snake Mountain aesthetics. And then you got a peg here, so it's going to go towards the back, and your Bone Throne is going to sit right on, snap right in that peg like that. It can spin left to right, but I'm just going to keep it straight for now. And now here's a closer look at that striking snake. Really important piece, obviously, and this one is, I love the way they remastered it from the vintage. I mean, just look at all the sculpting and detail. Now, bringing the head in for a closer look, that is awesome. Incredible. Now, no deco. I wish the eyes were painted red or some kind of snake look and pupils in there and the teeth. That's something I'm going to have to do, I guess, or anybody wants to customize. So yeah, no deco, a little disappointing from the box art anyway, where even the vintage one had some deco on it from I remember. But look, check this out. So the jaw does articulate. You can see the muscles back in here on both sides. Check out, you have a tongue sculpt in there, so it can go up and down. Yeah, just the way the teeth are sculpted. Oh, these are rubber, by the way. Okay, so this is a hard plastic. Teeth are all rubber. At least the fangs are, excuse me. Yeah, the way the eyes are done. Now, this head can also spin. It's on a ball joint. Go all around, up and down. Check that out. I didn't expect that. Has like a giant collar sculpted on it, and that's it doesn't come off. It's all part of the sculpt. There's all details on top of the head. It's awesome. And checking out the rest of the snake, how it's curved. You can see all this details, the spines in here now. This articulates here too. And of course, to make it all lined up, you just match these two ends, the top and bottom. But that's awesome. The size of that thing. There's a plug where it's going to snap in. So moving back to the assembly, so we already looked at the bone throne. I snapped that in place, and this, once again, this section of floor is just going to go up to the top of the left-hand side. Snake mount is going to snap in like that till you hear click. And now with the floor plate in, you can see that bone throne has room to turn left to right. It does get stuck in here, but you can force it. See that? It'll pop off if you push it too far, but it can articulate. So real quick, I want to throw the new spiker up top, just show a height comparison, what Origins figure would look like on back of Snake Mountain on the upper floor. And once again, I do the Dragon Blast for Skeletor and that bone throne, going back to that image on the box. Well, you don't have a lot of room in there. It's not so much the height. Once again, it's something with the Skeletor. Can't get the legs straight enough to sit down in a chair. He's like sitting off of it. So it kind of looks something like that. It depends on the figure. You got to mess around with it. Look like that. And of course, I had to bring the regular first release Origin Skeletor and put him on the bone throne. So he does fit better, but again, it's still a problem with the legs. See, mine, if you don't mess around with it and use the hand to hold it by the chair, he'll just slide and fall right out. So I try to shift him to where his head's away from that skull, something like that. And okay, that works. That looks better. And then you can articulate it, move it how you want. But some you got to mess around with. It's not perfect because, again, it's something with the height of the chair would help if you're able to elevate it more and bend the knees. So moving on, another important piece is this trapdoor. You can see the front where you come in, and this is going to hang out of the front of Snake Mountain where it looks like a peg where you put one of your figures on. It's all it's just sculpted and manufactured in this like whitish stone color, pretty neat. Now the trapdoor too is just a gray flat color. There's no other details on it. Now you can push it open by hand, right? So if the figure's on it, it will open like that. And when you push it, it locks or clicks back and locks. Now there's a way that the dungeon is gonna spin according to directions and openness. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I just want to bring this in, and then it's just gonna slide in here like this, all right, moving the camera up, and then you're just going to push it till it locks. And now lastly, as part of the part B, those directions. So of course we have our flooring with that grate that I showed you, and then you're just going to have the striking snakes going to snap in. It says one-time assembly, so it's not really meant to come out. You're going to have a hard time taking out. Now you can see the clip on the bottom, and here's the recess or the lower part where that clip's going to snap in, so you're going to kind of push the head of the snake around the front of the playset, right, and then line it up until you hear it, until it snaps like that. I don't know if you can take, oh, okay, you can take it back out, I guess. Maybe I didn't lock it in right. Something like that, it seems to hold it. Now here's a final look at the back with all those pieces installed, the floor, bone throne, that grate, and then the snake. So moving forward with some more accessories and other parts to equip the Snake Mountain from the back side. Now we have our dungeon. You got some plates here that there's the top and the bottom. I'm going to show you that. We got the wolf head, weapons rack, a bunch of stuff. Yeah, there's a lot involved here. I thought I was going to finish this playset as far as a review in a half hour. Yeah, that ain't happening. It's just a lot going on. Anyway, let's take a closer look at this dungeon. So this dungeon cell pretty much comes fully assembled, right? It's kind of like opens up like that. You're just going to fold it. And looks like there's a couple of hinges here, right? So you'll snap this section together and lock that section up top. Yeah, very identical to the top of the gate for Snake Mountain. Same face and everything. Same tone in the gray colors. So now here's the floor for this prison box, we'll call it. So it has A1, B1, and the directions are showing you snapping on top like this. Now obviously the bottom is, you can see just all the, where the snaps that come through. It's obviously the top where it's flat and clean. Doesn't seem like it matters to me as long as the A1's on this side or this side, it's all the same. But you're going to sit this on top and it's just going to snap right down like that. Now with a little pressure, you can hear all it snaps all the way around. Right, you should see, should really be no gaps for the most part. Also, the door opens too, which is cool. So it does have a door that opens to one side, like the top of the door in Snake Mountain. So that's pretty neat. It does clip shut. So now moving on to the top piece. So the direction shows that A is going to be to this top corner. So you can see BA. So it's actually going to flip to where you actually see the pegs upside down. The clean part. At first, I thought this was going to sit up, but it's not. It flips over like this from the directions, and then you're going to snap it down. So once again, A, okay, on top, and that's how it's, you'll click it, and that's how it's going to lock. And then it's just going to look like that. So taking a closer look at this prison box, and of course, seeing its potential and play value, what figures can go inside of it, so we know how it goes together, how the door opens. Once again, I used the example of Dragon Blaster Skeletor in it, just because it had large dragon on his back, but he's still a typical origin size. And he does fit in here, even with the dragon, if you can see that. But he did not fall through that hole. And then this is how, you can see how I put him in, how he kind of comes out. So next I'm putting a classic Skeletor in. I'll put him in from the top, or he can go in from the opening. So even if the legs are straightened out and you shut the door, he can, yeah, can still hold him. You can see that his head does stick up, almost level with the top, but for the most part, it can hold classics. And now here's the Masterverse Skeletor inside. Same thing, door open. You can put them in from the opening or drop them down through. They are a little bit taller, but if you spread the legs out a little bit, close the door, the head just, yeah, it doesn't stick out all the way. So it can work for Masterverse figures too as well, as long as you just how you position the legs if you have to bend them down. Okay, so moving on, here's that wolf head. It's basically a display piece, or I guess a spy camera, or large head for Snake Mountain, technically. Has a little pillar here, and it can spin. Of course, we'll equip it in Snake Mountain soon. I love the detail on this. Now, it's reminiscent of microphone, but much larger. But yeah, they painted inside of the mouth, so like a rubber gums or tongue kind of thing. The eyes are red. So I like that. It's, it's just enough deco to make this piece interesting. You can see there's a little plug on the bottom of this. I'll show you what that's for. Now, I want to bring in the Classics one for a second. So there's a little comparison, show you what the Classics did. Here's the Classics one. I mean, that's awesome. That's long like the microphone was, much bigger. And this one, see, it has an opening to store the weapons in and stuff. Now, obviously, the Classic Snake Mountain is a lot larger, has room for this. This wouldn't work in the Snake Mountains for setup. I thought that's what this one was going to be. It's going to have a longer piece, but because of the upper floor, it's not going to work. So I see why they designed it like that. And moving on to some small accessories. So yeah, you get this pack of all these different accessories. You get like this rubber called the Moat Monster. I'll show you where that goes soon. You get a large spider, which is pretty cool, with a couple different holes to hang it or plug it in. You get a dragon head, which is neat. Awesome sculpting. Again, not much deco, but also has a plug hole. This is a clip for that wolf head. I'll show you that soon as well. And then you get 3 additional weapons. That's going to go on a weapons rack. All in the very, done in like a fluorescent green color. So it's like a whiplash staff. Typical sword and a shield. And you can see these are exactly those weapons. It's going to be part of Skeleton Warriors. As I started pulling them out, I go, oh my god, maybe there is a Skeleton Warrior in here. Just like the Origins Castle Grayskull came with a sorceress. That'd be awesome, but nope, you don't get one. And then next you get this cool weapons rack. It's molded in a flat goldish color. And then the corner directions, you'd set your weapons or accessories up like that. So the shield would go to the left side, the sword, and of course that staff. And they have to go on an angle, yeah, something like that, because if you try to put them straight up and down, they're just going to pop out. It doesn't work unless, once again, like the bone throne, you elevate this. And then for the other accessory, you get the ladder. And now moving in closer to Snake Mountain once again for setup with the other accessories. So this clip I showed earlier, there is a top and a bottom. See, the bottom's like the cut part. From seems to me the top. And it's going to clip in, snap into this, piece in here. You can hear a click. So now bringing in the wolf head, that's what's going to hold this in place. And it's going to clip right down in this, I think this section of pillar here, it looks like. So we'll kind of lock in there. You can see these. Okay, I see. So these 2 clips will go in these little pieces here. And then this head can spin all around now. And you can also remove it again right off the clip, and just these 2 peg pieces, or it'll pop right out. Now, what's interesting too with this wolf, that little peg in there, I wasn't sure what that was for at first. Well, you can use this spider as an accessory, with the hole in the back, right, and plug it inside that peg like that. And now you can spin a wolf head, and it's like the spider's hanging upside down, you know, and you can move them whatever way you got to line them up. So moving back down to the lower left-hand side of Snake Mountain and back to this prison cell. Now, if you can see that, I try to lower the camera. There's a couple clips, or tracks, I'm going to call them, underneath this floor on the right and left side. This prison cell is going to actually slide on them, and that's what's going to elevate this in place. So if you can see that, you're going to kind of line them up, right? It's a little tight, and then you'll push this forward. And then just to remove it, you're just going to grab it by your hand, and it's going to pull right out. So moving back to the right side with our trap door, the falling grate, and of course we know our prison box can move around. This also slides under here very similar to the floor. So you can see tracks under there. You're going to use these edges. You're going to line it up from what I see. And, you know, you got to kind of like, takes a little bit of work. Push it till it snaps in and make sure your door or grate is up. So with the prison cell pushed all the way in, now you got to work it till it clicks. Did that off camera. Of course, the door, you can see down here, is going to swing open and close. I'll leave it closed for now. There's a button right here, if you can see that, where my thumb is. That's supposed to drop this grate trapped false door. And then you use this rock where my thumb is to kind of position it back up and lock, you know, and you got to kind of adjust the switch on and off. And here's a little closer look I'm talking about if you couldn't see. So here's our switch. You can see this little piece goes back and forth, holds it in here, and then the rock that's already, you know, sculpted to this grate. See, so you're supposed to hold this. I said it's supposed to drop this, but mine is getting stuck in a corner here. It's like it's warped or something. All right, so moving on to the action feature with the cage and the trap door. So I brought in my regular Origins He-Man, of course. It came in from the front, so we got the gate open. Trying to infiltrate Snake Mountain, and I'm just trying to see what his weight on my door that's hanging up, if it's going to work. No, see? So pushing the buttons, it's not even doing that. Mine's getting stuck back there. So what happens if I just push him in? That's just how he's going to fall. Now I reset the trapdoor, obviously, and I put a classic He-Man up there. He is a little heavier, but I don't think it's going to, I don't know if that weight's going to drop him in there. Nope. So this switch isn't even doing nothing because it's getting hung up on one of the tabs back here, at least on my doors. So I'm going to have to sand or mess around with. But the classics, if he did fall down there, for the most part, he does fit. All right, you can see him in the door. Okay, so for one last example, I brought in a Masterverse He-Man, minus some custom stuff going on ahead and a couple things. But I try readjusting my cell again, messing around with it. You can see my thumb. Here's a switch, and let's see if it works. There we go. That did it. And now here's the Masterverse He-Man inside the cell. Sword sticking out, but for the most part, he falls in. It does hold him. Even if he stands up, the head's sticking up, but it is pretty cool. All right, so moving on, I'm going to take this jail cage back out of here so it slides off real easy, and let's check out the other accessories. So moving on to the ladder, there is a top and a bottom. You can see the longer piece here with the coil going around it. That's the bottom according to directions. There's two little plug holes in here, so you're just going to set the ladder up. Doesn't matter which way, spinning around left to right like this. And then the ladder is going to set, and these two little clip pieces going to fit right in there like that. And now moving over, we're going to check out the acid pit. So we know that this piece can swing up and down on a hinge like that, lock in. It's important when you go to close a play set. So of course right now we have it down. Now you see, of course, you have this big sticker like I talked about in the beginning of the video, and there's a series of pegs. We got 1, 2, 3, and check this out. That rock also comes out. It's a little rubber piece. So obviously this rock can go anywhere you want it. Go here, go on this peg like you wanted it, or even sitting in the acid pit. Any of the pegs. I'm going to bring in the little moat monster kind of creature thing. Take a closer look at that. It's such a detail. Yeah, just a big rubber piece. There's a hole. And he's sort of like a half a creature, like he's coming out of the acid. Now, I'll just plug him in back here anywhere. So he could just like sit like that. And you can articulate him. Or, of course, we could put him in the main acid pit, wherever you want him. And then once again, here's that dragon I showed earlier. It's just a big rubber piece, flexible. Jaw can even move. It's not articulated yet. It's just rubber. See the hole in there. And same thing, you know, it's just a creature or serpent coming out of the acid wherever you want it. So you'll plug them in here. You can spin back here on this piece here, wherever you want. I'm going to put them back here for now. So it'll look like that. And then I'll put a rock piece back here. And for one last example, as far as the ESO pit goes, so I'm going to bring in our Manny faces because it kind of shows him in the illustration with the directions. Doesn't matter. As long as the figure can split in half like most of them can, right? We got the little peg hole there. And check that out. So he can sit right in the S and spin around like he's, yeah, half his body submerged. That's awesome. And, of course, you can put him in any of the pegs and move whatever creatures where you want them. Or if you can get additional creatures or get rubber monsters and make holes with a drill to fit these pegs, you can do that too. That's a pretty cool idea. And of course we had to bring He-Man in, right, and get him where he's stuck in the acid there up to his waist. That's pretty neat. So yeah, you can have 2 figures, you can have 4 figures, and these little moat monsters too. If you don't have a space for the pegs, they could just sit anywhere you want them, like they're just floating. And then the final accessory is once again the spider. Now I showed you how it clips on to the wolf head, that microphone piece that sits up top, but there's a couple of the locations that the directions are showing for him. So moving back to the side of Snake Mountain, now we know that this larger hole in the back of the spider can go up in this wolf head, as I said already, but there's a peg back in here for this hole, the flat part of this hole, so you can kind of, you know, push the spider on. Kind of hard to see. Something like that. Now you have the spider hanging upside down inside there. And now dropping down below this floor on the same side, there's also another peg back in here. It's going to fit this hole, so you can put the spider here as well. Yeah, it'd be cool if you had a few different spiders, but we'll plug in like that. And then moving all the way back to the right side of Snake Mountain with our top and, of course, where our gate is that you come in. The other spider location is a peg right up in here, so you can just push them on. They'll just hang like that. And, of course, you could put this big spider on wherever you want, floating on the ESO pit. Not that he belongs on there. Now, the pegs don't fit the back of this. You could just sit like the monsters. I brought in some other spider creatures too I have just hanging around as a toy collector. Halloween spiders that are highly detailed. So you can always drill holes in these to match this hole if you wanted to. And hang them on those pegs or just put them all over Snake Mountain. They're cheap. You can find them on eBay or in dollar stores sometimes, and they have great detail. Now here's a complete look with all accessories and everything set up on the back part of Snake Mountain before I flip it around. The way I set it up now, so we have my wolf head. Obviously you can only lock in one way, and the head, as I said, you can spin it. It's looking forward. I hooked my spider up in there to hold it, you know, to bottom out wolf head. I put the cage back on this side. Now I have He-Man inside it, trapped. The weapons rack fits best over here. If you pull this cage out, you can slide under that way, but this I'm going to leave it set up. Got Manny faces once again stuck in the acid pit. Some of the creatures all set up on all the pegs. Got the ladder. We got this set in, but of course we have the cage under here, and that's pretty much the complete setup of... and of course, Skeletor in the Bone Throne, the Dragon Blaster one. I got him to fit okay, sitting off the seat. I just think he looks cool. And yeah, for the most part, that's my setup, or the complete setup of Snake Mountain from the back. And now spinning the whole Snake Mountain playset around once again to the very front where we started. Here's a complete look with everything set up as I showed from the back. Our striking snake, the wolf head. We already had the bridge on, stuff like that. So I just wanted to take a quick look at that before we set some figures up, and I'll show you a few other details and action features with this. So taking a closer look and moving back all the way to the gate again where our striking snake is. There's little pegs up to one little peg up here, and they're actually all over this playset to place some of your figures. So I'm going to bring in the Dragon Blaster Skeletor once again, like that art, and I just think he's a cool Skeletor. Going back to this gate too, so we know it can open forward, but mine got stuck. It can snap and go back. That makes sense. I was like, it shouldn't just go one way. And you're going to need that to put Dragon Blaster Skeletor or certain figures on. So I'm going to push it back in the open position and then use a little foot peg for Dragon Blaster Skeletor to hold him. So I removed Dragon Blaster Skeletor, and I'm going to put the Thunder Punch He-Man up here, right? Also use a foot peg like he's, punched the gate open and getting attacked by this attack snake. So this has an action feature to it. Now he was stuck. The articulation in the back, just like that door was stuck. And pretty much what it's showing is, see, this whole thing can kind of swing up and down. That's the striking the striking feature. So it rotates back where I originally plugged it in. So you would set your, the articulation up with the mouth open, adjust your ball joint, and more or less it's just showing that let me see, you can articulate this way, and it's just, and there he falls, and that's your striking feature with the snake. It goes up and down like that. So moving back down a little bit, now we have a peg right here for one of the holes in one of the figure's feet. Put my Dragon Blaster Skeletor back up. I moved him over more because the ankles started getting really loose, so he holds better now. But see, these pegs, I don't know what it's trying to, I mean, I guess you can make it look natural, like they're ready to battle, right? I would put, like, say, this He-Man's foot here, something like this, but then where do you put the other foot? He falls back. I tried it like this, maybe kind of arch, spread the leg out. It will hold him a little bit, but then the ankle loosens up, he falls backwards. Or maybe it's meant for Skeletor or something to, right, put a foot like this and look down it, or even this way maybe. This makes the most sense for a character to be looking down. It's just, that's the problem. It's just there's not enough room to really position the figures to make them fight. Even the Classics one was like that. It's a lot larger, but I had trouble. At least this has pegs, and I don't know really what they're suggesting to do. Maybe something like this. I don't know. If you can get this foot on without the ankle falling, that's the problem. Now, something like that could work. Put the Thunder Punch in the hand. I'm just using Thunder Punch He-Man as an example. And now dropping down, I put one of the Snake Men, of course, Cobra Khan. He was like the first one to come out in the vintage line, so I just put him in, coming out of the, little hideaway. And these roots are pretty cool because it's kind of, the root on this side is formed where you can, if you see that, wrap it around the waist, kind of hold the figure up as he's coming out. And I just use his hand to try to hold him up. Cobra Khan's a little awkward with the head and the ball joint looking up, but he's, he's coming out a little hideaway there where the Snake Men live, and he's going to help battle, or fight Thunder Punch He-Man with Skeletor. Now moving back to the bridge, so I just drew the 2000X inspired Evil Lyn on this side, of course, going against our Teela variant, which was a 2000X one to come with the Zor bird. So I obviously I put their feet in a peg. There's a peg back here. You can see there's one here. There's various pegs all over, but so you could put a couple different people on this bridge, but just for practical purposes, I just tried two of the females, and it's, we'll get overcrowded, you put too many other people. And kind of like the box art in the beginning of the video, I hung Webster. I got the grapple hook on way up to the top, and you gotta kind of fish it around. You can see that, the hang in place here, look down at Teela, so he's not hitting Evil Lyn. And this is a custom Etsy spider piece. It doesn't come with them if you're not familiar, but I thought that was pretty cool. So moving back over to the main face, try to finish up the video. Well, these are the chain shackles. We'll set a figure up there in a second. So yeah, now of course we have our wolf head. We know it rotates, kind of the lookout piece. That's all it does. And then I'm going to use that switch back here, and then the mouth. Hey, I'm Skeletor. So that's how it would go up and down. So real quick, I want to jump back over to the side. Now, going to this peg, it doesn't make sense to me. My He-Man, it will stay for a while. He'll fall. Maybe it's just something with the Thunder Punch, but in that illustration that's on the other side of the box, he's supposed to sit up like this and battle Skeletor. That looks awesome. But it's almost like this should have had a peg here somewhere, and it doesn't. I don't know if it's a QC issue or, they expect you to hold the figure in place. And my He-Man, because of the backpack or just the ankles, will just keep falling. Yeah, it should have had a peg here, or you put a piece of double stick tape. Now it would look awesome. That's how this figure should, your He-Man should be fighting Skeletor, whoever's going up there. So once again, I removed my Dragon Blaster Skeletor from the doorway, and just to show a little more Masterverse and Classics compatibility with this Snake Mountain playset, I put the first release Masterverse Skeletor up top, and, he's not on a peg. You can use the peg for his foot, but there's plenty of room, so it's kind of cool that the Masterverse Skeletor will fit up there. And now I just threw one of my Classic Skeletor up there, so of course he's going to work as well. So moving my camera over for a second to the far angle, how I have this Snake Mountain set up, I was really determined to put a figure here and set up my Thunder Punch He-Man. So of course, once again, I set Skeletor back up at the top. He stands pretty well on the peg. But what I wound up doing, if you can see that, is I used one of those twist tie wires around the backpack and around this little hook. And that seems to hold He-Man perfect, just to stand there like that. So I just wanted to move the camera back once again, try to get all of the Snake Mountain playset in screen for the most part. But I just wanted to make another example of the Classic Skeletor and Masterverse and how they scale up against this playset. Ground level. Now I show you what they look like and how they fit at the top. They fit okay. You could, of course, sit them on the drawbridge. But for the most part, they're not the most practical figures to set, Classics or Masterverse all over the playset. But more or less they will work, depending on what you want to do with them. So it's just an overall scale. So getting back to Origins and moving all the way to the right side of the Snake Mountain. Of course, we have these shackles, and I just put Man-at-Arms here just to show you another figure set up on the front. How he sits in the pegs. He's, yeah, I guess he came up this way and is going to help out. We're going to use Manny faces as far as these shackles. And to use these on any figure, of course, you're going to have to remove the hands. And obviously, I removed the hands on Manny faces so we can slip the shackle over that side. And then this one like that. And then put both hands back. Side too. Now with the hands on, just stand the figure up in the shackles, and the length of the chain just holds them up. And now here's one more wide shot of the Snake Mountain all set up, and I got Origins figures all over. I put some on the lower part of the floor. Beastman, Scareglow, we got Stinkor, Mossman, Mechaneck in the background. There's some custom parts going on some of these figures. If you're not, you see them and say, well, my figure didn't come with that. But anyway, that looks awesome. It really works well with all the Origins and just that whole setup. So one more procedure I want to go to is closing the whole playset up and putting all the parts in it just like the vintage one did. Now, of course, in the beginning of the video, I initially closed the playset up and showed how it locked without the snake and accessories on it, but that's what we're going to go through real quick. So obviously I took all the figures off, and I'm just going to go over or show you exactly what the directions show, where all the parts are going to go, and then once again close the playset up. So moving back to that bridge or walkway, of course we know this pops right out like I showed earlier in the video, so that's the only piece you're going to take off the front of this. So turning Snake Mountain again, once again, looking at the back, we're going to pop the ladder out of here, and then we're going to snap this acid pit up. You can leave the creatures on it. It's just going to lock like that. And now you got to remove the bone throne. We know how that comes apart. You're going to open up this prison cell, and the bone throne can store right inside of there. Right, and we'll show it and close the door. So this prison cell, if you want to keep it intact in this playset, it's going to stay in the back. You can't put it up top on the other side, obviously. The ladder, bringing that back in, can store it back in here, like that. And then you put your weapons rack. Now you bring in your bridge piece, and it's going to store up top with the curve facing you, upside down. And now to all our accessories and back of Snake Mountain, following the directions anyway. I'm just going to try to close everything up, see how it goes together. I'm going to have to fiddle with that a little bit. Prison cell. There you go. Snap your locks. Okay, and that's pretty much my review and setup on the Masters Universe Origins Snake Mountain. I think it's awesome. I love it, and I have the classics, and I'm still happy that I, picked this set up. I like that new snake. The design over the vintage is really cool, but, lacking the deco on that, and the gates, and some various parts like I showed. A little disappointing, but it's things I can customize, not the worst thing in the world. They did add some new sculpting, the root system down here, and that hideaway. I do like all the accessories it comes with. It's a shame it doesn't have the microphone going back to the vintage, but you could pick one of them up on eBay, a loose one, and just make sure it's good working condition. Some of them crackle, so that's sort of risky, but they do sell them. You could probably retrofit this or put it inside and use that piece for nostalgia. Otherwise, you get that wolf head, neat, just how it spins, and it would have been cool if we could store things like the classics, but it's doing its own thing. So I think this, I'm happy to have it. And start checking your stores now, because these are being found a few stores here and there. It's a little early, but I have a feeling they're going to start shipping between the end of this month all the way into September. So, go check your stores. I appreciate everybody watching. Until next time, take care.